Hi everyone, I'm Gautam aka The Seeker of Wisdom. I'm a manifestation coach, and in this video, we're going to be talking about the importance of being independent. And before I do so, I'd like to remind you guys I am available for coaching, so I offer one-on-ones as well as other services. I also have a free Facebook group as well as a paid Facebook group, and last but not least, I also have a mailing list. Now, if you guys need any information on any of those things that I mentioned, feel free to email me or DM me via Instagram. And without further ado, guys, let's get to it. So, I've been wanting to make this video for a while right now, and yesterday's events, as of this recording, was kind of like a catalyst, if you will, for a lack of a better word, in me making this video. And for those of you who may not know what happened, you can just take a look at my last video right before this one, just to see like what happened. Like, you can see the comment section and you guys will know what I mean, but I'll give you guys a bit of context as well. I addressed this on my Instagram story, but I really felt that I needed to make a video, and I have been wanting to make one for a while now, because I've been wanting to talk about this idea of why people should be independent and not be dependent on coaches or any other content creators or YouTubers for that matter, when it comes to, you know, their manifestation journey or their spiritual journey in general, and the kind of the risks of it, if you will. I don't want to use the word danger, but the risks of it, if you will. And yesterday's comments was one of those incidents that really reinforced this for me. So for those of you who don't know what happened, uh, so if you looked at the previous video, you will know that there was this person. I'm not going to mention anyone's names here or whatnot, but like this person uh, like said something along the lines of like, this doesn't work, it's a scam and things like that, right? And I went on to Instagram to address that comment, because this person is actually someone that I know. This person is actually, I can say this person is a friend of mine, and this she wasn't a client at any point. I have not formally coached this person ever, but for all intents and purposes, I consider this person as a friend. And like, because I have been running this page for like 4 years at this point. So, you know, I have met people from all around the world, and you know, some people, you know, you really resonate with, and they become friends with you, right? It's just like the way it happens. So this kind of like what like this person did has kind of happened to me in like different other forms, like over the period of like almost 4 years that I've had this page, more than 4 years at this point. So because I began this page in like, you know, like early 20 or late 2018, sorry. So I've had this page for about good, you know, like good 4 years at this point. And throughout this time, like, you know, I've met individuals who, you know, have been this way before. So this wasn't something new. Like, I wasn't, you know, like affected by it or whatsoever. But you know, the comment section like kind of got a bit like, you know, colorful, if you will. There were some people who were like, you know, kind of attacking this person, you know, like telling them like, okay, you know, STFU, this works. And like, you know, there were other people who also you know, commented in a very nice way as well. And I appreciate all the comments, by the way, you know, like, and those who DM me as well, asking if I'm doing okay and just sending love. And also there were people who were concerned about why this person commented this way, and many of you, you know, messaged me saying that you guys were like distressed by why this person would comment this way. And that was like my primary concern with that particular incident was, folks are watching, you know, everybody watches the comments, and you know, it would be in everyone's best interest not to put things out there that way. uh, and you know, like I always say this even with like Facebook groups as well, where if you are, you know, going on to Facebook and commenting, I've been trying, you know, like manifestation for 10 years, this doesn't work, you know, it really disheartens someone who is in this journey trying to manifest their goals, right? And oftentimes my kind of like issue with those types of statements is that you may not be actually be true, that you may have started the journey 10 years ago, but you may not have done all the steps properly throughout those 10 years, because if you did, you wouldn't have been, you know, going on this journey for 10 years. And when people just put out vague statements without any form of background information, without any form of explanations or stories to kind of back their claims up, I kind of have an issue with that, because I have clients who tell me like, you know what, I really get, you know, stressed out when I see comments like that. Like, what if that becomes me? What if I end up as that kind of a person? What if I end up as that person? Like, either you put out content there that empowers people, or you don't put out anything at all. Like, that's my stance on it. And yesterday's comment was one of those things where I would have preferred if this person did not obviously put things out there that way. because not because of like how it would seem look like, reflect on me per se. Like I really don't care about that, but it's more like how would people kind of take that. And I could have easily, mind you, removed that comment, and I wouldn't have had to post anything about this, but I left it there. And because I didn't want to, like, quote unquote, cover it up or anything like that, because I wanted to, use this opportunity to kind of talk about this as a whole as well, because I've been, like I said, wanting to do this video for a bit now. And I thought, what, this is finally it, because I really have to make a video of why people should be independent. Now, I'm a content creator. Like, I have been in this space, like I said, for almost like 4+ years now. I've been making YouTube videos for well over a year now. I've been a coach for about 2 years plus now and whatnot. And, this is what I do. I talk about, manifestation. I talk about law of assumption. I talk about these things because I like doing this. And I like, helping people, because these informations weren't exactly something that was kind of broken down to me. And I just wanted to be that person who I would have wanted at that point. And also, I love interacting with people from all walks of life, and I really got passionate about manifestations and just the idea of like spirituality and whatnot from a very early age. And I use this platform to talk about the things that I like and love, and the things that I'm passionate about. Plain and simple, that was it. And the coaching was like a byproduct of it. Like, many people know my story, I did not begin as a coach. The coaching aspect came as a byproduct of it. I didn't even think about coaching until like someone reached out to me and asked me about it, right? Versus like there are many other folks now, and I'm not criticizing these people, by the way, but like there are like whole slew of people who come in with the intent of joining as a coach in this space, but like that wasn't me. So my point is, like, I didn't begin this as a job or whatsoever, because like to me this wasn't a job. This was like just me. Like, even if I were to not earn anything from any of the things that I'm doing right now, I would still do it to an extent. Maybe not in the frequency that I'm doing, maybe not at the capacity I'm doing, but I'll still post stuff. I will still talk about this stuff. Why? Because it makes me passionate, because I love interacting with you guys. I love talking to people from all walks of life and all around the world. And it's just such a fun thing to do, to be honest, for me at least, right? And why am I saying this? Because at the end of the day, for me, like this is what I will do, whether or not I earn anything from it or whatsoever, because I like doing this. This is just something that I do. I don't view myself as like, a representative of manifestation or law of assumption per se, right? I'm just a guy who just likes talking about this stuff. And that's a very important distinction, because when people are dependent on any sort of content creator or a coach out there, they tend to kind of latch on to their words that much more. And for me, like, I've never seen myself that way, right? Like, people, when folks like do that for me, I felt like they shouldn't do that. And this has been an issue for a while now, and I've never really openly discussed about this, but I've always seen myself as like, okay, Seeker of Wisdom is like one entity, and there's Gautam. Like, those are two separate entities. And subconsciously, I've always had this. Maybe not consciously, but subconsciously, I've always seen these things as two separate things, like my personal life, and then there's like the coaching stuff, YouTube and Instagram, all the stuff that I do. Like, that's a part of my life. It's not my entire life, because I've had different hats throughout my life, right? Like right before I started this, like I was in the army, and before that, I was a student, and in between as well, like I also became a school student for a while, and I'm also going to be like transitioning into like other ventures pretty soon as well. So my point is, like, I've always viewed like these things as like separate things. And the reason is that at one point my self-worth was like tied down to school, the amount of like marks that I scored, and it drove my self-worth down, because I wasn't doing well in school, and it caused a lot of distress, and I really felt like a worthless piece of crap. And from then on, like, one of the hardest lessons that I've had to learn was to separate like what I'm doing to versus like who I am as a person. Like, my inherent worth as a being is not tied down to any of the work that I do. So subconsciously, for me, I've always seen myself as like Seeker of Wisdom, and everything associated with it is a job. It's something that I like, yes, but it doesn't define me. My entire world doesn't revolve around it. Like, I am me. Like, I'm a person. I have my own interests, and I enjoy life in my own way, and I am a separate person. Now the problem is that there are many folks who don't see it that way, and I don't blame them for it, because this is the only side of myself that I'm showing the world. And so I totally get that. Like, like if you know me on my personal life, you know that this isn't all there is to me, right? And there are things that obviously I don't talk about or don't show my like myself about and whatnot, right? But there's obviously more to this than like me, than whatever that you guys are seeing right now. And some of my friends have pointed this out to me. Like, there was one client who told me, like a former client of mine who's like really a good friend to me right now. She was like telling me, because she's in my personal account, and my the Secret of Wisdom account. So she was like saying, one thing I noticed about you, because we talk like on both pages, sometimes it happens. So she was like telling me, if I message you on the Secret of Wisdom account, like you sound a bit different, you sound a bit more formal compared to like if I were to message you in your personal account or something like that. Like I noticed that subtle change in shift, in tone, if you will. And I've definitely noticed that in you. And I was like, okay, I did not really notice that, because for me it seems like I do this like changing of hats, excuse me, but like in a very unconscious way, right? Like I don't consciously like recognize it, but like I do it. And she was like, no, but it's really good, but it's really kind of also funny to notice at the same time. And some of my friends will also say like, you sound so goofy sometimes, and like in the videos you really sound intelligent, in a very sarky way. But like there was some like truth to it, and I started to realize that and recognize that too. And like I've tried to share a bit more about myself throughout the years, in my Instagram page. Like you guys know how much I love Star Wars, for example. But the thing is, there's more to me than what you see in front of the screen, like plain and simple, right? But of course, like as audience, you may not like recognize that. Just like with actors and actresses, like when we see certain people on camera for so long, that's who we kind of associate themselves with. Or any sort of influencer, or who have been known for a certain thing for a long time. It's kind of almost surreal for us to see them in a different light. And I totally get that, because I've seen some of, like, looked up to some of my ideals that way, and like kind of get thrown off when I see them in a different light, for sure. 100%, I get that. And with my case, like one thing that happened was that there was this like interactive element, like I said, with Instagram. I've made friends through the Secret of Wisdom and whatnot. The problem came when a lot of people kind of struggle to separate me from my work, or they kind of saw me as a representative of, like, or an ambassador of sorts for, like, manifestation and law of assumption. And I was the first time it happened to me, I was kind of thrown off, but it made me realize, like, the weight I had with my words, and how careful I should be with my words. Because there was one incident, this was a couple of months back, I believe. I can't remember when this happened, but long story short, it was about my perception of free will, and how I think you're the only one with free will affected one of my friends' like views on the whole thing. Because, like, this person kind of freaked out on how like maybe folks may not have free will, and how, like, the idea of maybe people being almost like puppet like in a way doesn't resonate with her. And because that means, like, the love that you receive from people is not genuine love or something like that, right? Like, I don't know, I can't remember the exact like details of that conversation, but I remember, like, I was like, okay, well, why? Because this person in a way was trying to convince me. She even said that, like, she was like pointing out her kind of like thesis, or like case, if you will, and saying like, okay, are you still not convinced? And I was like, I have my own like beliefs based on the things that I'm seeing, and I'm acknowledging your view. I see that this is totally plausible, but, like, I believe this for XYZ reasons, and this isn't to say you're wrong or I'm correct or vice versa, but these are just two separate views, and this is just a theory. Like, I don't know for a fact of all these things, and this is the way I see it. I always view it as, like, my views are ever changing, ever evolving, and that's just the way things are. Like, things change, our values, and changes and evolves and grows over a period of time. If it wasn't for that, I would have been stuck in the law of attraction realm, right? I wouldn't even have transitioned into law of assumption and whatnot, right? I'm looking there, by the way, because, like, Neville's book is there. So Yeah, in case any of you are wondering. But so basically, like for me, law of assumption, like I made the jump from like law of attraction to like law of assumption because of that. And if it wasn't for my ability to grow and evolve and consider other options, like I wouldn't be here right now. And if you ask me my opinions like now about certain things, it may or may not be the same like 1 years down the line or 2 years down the line or whatsoever, right? It will grow and evolve. And that's something that I tell people as well these days. Like nothing is set in stone for me. I don't cling on to a value or a belief because I really resonate with the idea of growing and evolving over time. And change is the only constant. There are only two constants in this world, or two certainties, if you will, if you ask me, is that one is you die, right? Death is a certainty. We all will at one point. And two, change is the only constant. And anything besides this is an opinion that can be changed, in my humble opinion, right? That's the way I view this whole thing. And like I said, so people started to view me as like like inseparable with like what I do for my work. And that is like talking about law of assumption, manifestation, and whatnot. And yesterday's comment, the person who mentioned that was one such person. And this has been like, and like I said, this happens with like a lot of people, but yesterday's one was like a prime example of that. Because while I've not coached this person or whatsoever, they did see me as a representation of that. And the problem or the issue with that kind of a mindset is, when people see me as that, they also sometimes see me as like everything that represents their frustration. For example, if let's say you're manifesting your SP and it's not working, and you view me as the person who represents the beliefs of like law of assumption, and obviously you're going to take it out on me. So that's kind of like what happened yesterday. I understand and I empathize, and I'm not like, mind you, I'm not angry with this person at all or whatsoever. And I had to come out and say a few things because a lot of people seem to have assumed that that person was my client at one point or whatsoever. And I'm all about being transparent. Obviously I can't share exact details because I respect this person's privacy and whatnot, but this person hasn't been a client with me. This person has never worked with me. And that's why it kind of threw me off when the person came in and said all those things. But the fact remains, like, this is one of those things where you need to be independent. You can't afford to be dependent on a coach or what they say. Like I always tell people, take what resonates and leave the rest, because you may not fully resonate with a coach or a content creator out there. I've seen in my client experiences as well where clients would freak out if a coach says something on their Facebook group or on their Instagram story or their YouTube page, right? And I will always tell them, you take what resonates and you leave the rest. Never freak out over that. If you believe something, right, and if you know that you feel it in your bones to be true, regardless of what the other person says, you anchor yourself in that. You never let anyone else's opinion get to you, myself included, right? Like this includes me as well. So if you think, okay, no, I feel like this is what's going on, no, I feel like others have free will too, for example, coming back to that, go ahead and believe it, right? Like you do you, like this is just an opinion. Like for all intents and purposes, I treat me like this guy on YouTube as a content creator as one possible opinion, and that's it, right? If it my teachings and whatever I share aids you in your journey, great, use it. If it doesn't, like set it aside, use something else or another resource, another YouTuber, another content that helps you, and use that to make sense of whatever that you want to gain, for example. And that's the way I would do it, even if I were to be in their position as well. To take someone's words to heart, to give someone that much of weight, like in terms of their words and actions and whatnot, and especially when that person isn't yourself, that's dangerous. Because as much as I don't want to use that word, like it really sometimes, like because like I said, folks may not agree with you all the time, and you need to practice discretion, and you need to really take a step back and always say that, okay, my words is the final here, and this is my reality. And so like I have the final say in all of this. So sure, like this person may say this, but like I know for a fact that okay, if I do things my way, I will get what I want, right? Like you have to come at it from that perspective. Like be bold, be confident in your opinion. And yeah, I mean that's not to say that you are only like narrowly just focused on your view and that you're not open for other views and stuff like that. But don't feel threatened, and don't feel the need to defend your views. Like if you can be, there's a healthy way to take it, and then there's a unhealthy way to take it, right? Like if you are healthy about it, you can be very open-minded and see, okay, why is there a difference? Why does this person think this way, and why do I think this way, and what can I incorporate? That's the healthy way of doing about it, and I'll give you guys an example later. The unhealthy way is defending your your viewpoint versus that. And like what appears like a 6 to you may appear like a 9 to me. But the question is, who is wrong here? And when you see it that way, you realize like maybe it's not, we might be seeing things in a completely different way, but we are looking at the exact same thing. Neither one is wrong, it's just different perspectives right there. And that is like my mentality. That has been my mentality for a very long time, right? If you read history, like I love to read historical stuff and whatnot. Like in every battle, right? Like they always there's a joke that says something along the lines of I don't know how the good guys always win or something. Why? Because the history is always written by the victor, right? There's always another side, there's always another perspective that we have not been told, right? And like that's the way I see it, right? There are different views out there are different perspectives out there of the exact same thing, and neither one is wrong. It's just different perspectives. And yesterday again, like whatever happened, like kind of made me like realize like, okay, I need to go out there and say something about the folks being independent, because this is your journey and you can be independent, and you should be independent, and you should make decisions for yourself and not let anyone else's views affect your perception of what you consider to be true. And we should follow our own truths at the end of the day. If it wasn't for that, like I wouldn't be where I'm at right now. So earlier I talked about like a healthy example of like what being open-minded might look like, and what conflicting beliefs might, how you might approach conflicting beliefs if you have like a kind of an open mindset to it. So there was this Arabic phrase, some of you might know what I'm talking about. There's this Arabic phrase that really resonates with me. It's called maktub, right? In other words, like in translation, I think it's like it's destined or it's written, for example, right? And I first read of this phrase in like The Alchemist, and when I was watching this movie called Lawrence of Arabia. It's a very old movie. They kind of spoke about this philosophy as well. And like the character will try to save someone in the desert, and the tribal folks will like tell this because this guy was a British officer, so he will like tell them, the tribe folks will tell him like, okay, don't go and save him, his destiny is written, he's bound to be dead, like don't go and save him. And this guy, defying all that, he will save him. But down the story, what will end up happening is that he will have to kill him to settle a tribal dispute. And the guy will come and tell him, like one of the tribal members will come and tell him, it's not your fault, the life was yours to give and it was yours to take, it is written. And as much as I resonated with that, like obviously we learn in law of assumption, like there are infinite parallel realities and so on and so forth. So I always kind of got confused, needless to say. But at the same time I was like, okay, but there's a reason why this phrase resonates with me so much. There's something about this phrase that it is written that really resonates with me. And the simple fact was the idea that folks can say it is written and kind of just surrender themselves to a higher power as they navigate through the vastness of the desert, and kind of have this like carefree attitude with life appealed to me. And I kind of pinpointed that, and I was like, okay, I really resonate with that. But at the same time, I also kind of resonate with the idea that the fluidity of destiny. Like I don't like something being like like set in stone. And so like the compromise that I kind of got to, and this was something that clicked for me after a while, was if it is written, it is written by me. Yes, it is written by who? By God. And who is God? God is within me. And I kind of like just this is the conclusion that I came to, by the way, and this is just an opinion. But by opening up my mind, I set myself up for another perspective that I did not consider, that these two seemingly opposite philosophies may end up actually be talking about the same one. It's just that we don't realize it on face value. Again, what looks like a 6 may also be a 9. And when I made that conclusion, I was so happy, because I was like, for the first time, I was able to combine two seemingly opposite things into one. And this is what I mean, like as an example, like how having an open mind may help you to consider different perspectives that you may not have considered in the past before. And my point is this, like if somebody challenges your views, not like directly but like through a video or through a piece of content, if that allows you to expand your way of thinking and allows you to grow as a person and your beliefs evolve as a result, then great. But if you feel like, okay, maybe this is not it and I don't resonate with the way this person is approaching it, that's also fine. Take what resonates and leave the rest. If you can't do the earlier thing where you are like learning and expanding, right? Because not every piece of content does that for you, but if it doesn't, and if you feel like this is so against your values and things, like you can just close that door and you can just walk by. You don't have to feel like that person may be true, or like somehow you are wrong, or you don't have to try to convince the other person even, right? And you don't have to think that that person is wrong and you are actually the right one. Both of you may be right. Again, like different perspectives, like considering like different perspectives but of the same thing, right? Maybe neither one might be wrong. And this is why, like, and if you're emotional about things, I would honestly say, like, take some time, cool off before, like, putting something out there, especially in the internet, because what goes on the internet stays on the internet, right? So like this is my 2 cents on the matter. Honestly, like I wouldn't even have made this video, but again, the number of messages and like people telling me like thanks for clarifying and everything was when I realized like, hey, this is something you may need to go out there and talk about. And like I said, I've also been wanting to talk about the importance of being independent. And honestly, don't like give someone too much weight. At the end of the day, you should depend on your instincts, your beliefs, and like your judgments. Give those things like the weight that it needs. And this goes for not just like the in this context, but like in general as well. Even in manifesting, if somebody tells you, hey, you can't do something, and if you feel like in your bones that you can achieve it, persist. Use that to persist. The only validation that you ever need is that of yours. You don't need anybody else's validation or whatsoever. And I truly believe that, and I truly mean that. If somebody says you can't achieve it and you think you can, by all means go ahead and do it, right? You don't need anyone else's validation. Yes, it might suck, or it might feel a bit hurtful here and there, but trust me, when I started out, the amount of people said who thought I can't succeed, or who laughed at me straight in my face, who looked at me like as though I was some weirdo, end up getting into the law of attraction and law of assumption down the line. The folks who thought I can't do it end up like, I don't want to really rub it in, but like like they end up asking me for money at one point, because these are folks who said like you can't do a business with this types, right? And that like shows like if you believe in yourself, you will be able to achieve all those things. And the last thing you need to do is waste your energy on like trying to argue with someone as to why your values are better than theirs and things like that. And B, like taking their words to heart and like almost like personifying them as being like this entity of like everything that they like you kind of like stand against. That's not going to do anyone any good, right? And like every content creator is just that, they are just a content creator. Yes, they have valuable information to give out there, but don't how shall I put this, like don't give their words so much weight that it gets to you, right? And that's what happened yesterday. So I honestly like I hope that this kind of dies down, where yes, like we appreciate your support as content creators and things like that, but like don't like view people as like this like figures where they are like the absolute final say of like truths or whatsoever, right? Even like, and I'm talking about like even like well established folks, like like gurus and things like that too. At the end of the day, you have everything that you need right here, right? And if you can depend on yourself, that God is within you, and there's nothing you can't access from here. And use yourself to empower yourself. Like you don't have to depend on an external source. And that's the whole point of manifesting, is I want to empower people to know that they can do this on their own. And coaching is like a guiding process, but you're not going to be guided in life forever. You can't depend on a single source like that. And that's like was the point of my client as well, is I don't want to be dependent on you all the time. I love that attitude. Good. because at the end of the day, as a coach, like I want that for you. I want you to be as independent as possible as well, right? And people will joke with me, oh, wouldn't you go out of business if that happens? Fine. If that happens and I go out of business, great, right? And like I would be the happiest person because abundance comes from all areas of life, right? So I wouldn't mind that. Like, that doesn't mean I lose my living or something. Like, I'll go on to something else. Like, or like I will receive, the things that I need for my living from all possible sources. So that's the way I see it right now. It's not like, oh, if I don't have this, like I lose whatever that's not the way I think. If everyone, becomes independent, master manifestors, great. Me and like other coaches included have done their job and they can just leave, right? And that's the way I see it, at least. So that's my opinion on this, guys. Like, this is why you need to be independent, because you can't give others too much weight because it gets to your head. And it also kind of, if they like put out a content out there that's opposite to your views, what ends up happening is that you have this conflict within you. You don't know who's right. If you can address it in a healthy way, you can. If you can't, take what resonates and leave the rest. And that's the way I would deal with it. And this is why you should be independent, because especially if it gets to your head and whatnot. And I feel like independence is what every master manifestor should achieve, like should aim for to begin with. And I think that's what always like Neville preached as well. Like I know for a fact that he was against like folks like trying to teach people how to meditate and like things like that. I remember like there was one recording where he spoke about that, and he was talking about like how this guy was like trying to con people about meditation and stuff like that, right? And this is the thing, like you have to be independent. The God is within you, and manifestation is about recognizing that, and it's about letting yourself fully empower yourself with that fact and not letting the 3D phase you. If you guys take away anything from my teachings, take away that God is within you, and that's all you need to face whatever that's out there. Because when you resolve everything that's within, everything on the outside will change. So guys, I know this video has been too long and I'm kind of running out of breath as well, so I'll just wrap it up here. If this video resonated with you, be sure to drop a like and a comment down below. Turn on your bell notifications so that you guys will know when I upload a new video every single week. And we are still doing that giveaway, guys. So when we reach 1,111 subscribers, I'll be doing a 1-hour coaching call giveaway for one lucky winner. All you have to do is subscribe to this channel, as well as follow me on Instagram, and you're automatically entered into the giveaway. Guys, thank you so much for watching. It's good to be back on video. I won't be doing a lot of this, but I'll be coming up here and there showing my face. I felt like it would be better to show my face for this one, but yeah, like I know some of you were like also asking about the old format of the video and whatnot, so here I am. I think some of you manifested that as well. But guys, thank you so much for watching. Stay safe and happy manifesting. Peace.